Hello and welcome. On this episode of Thursday Tool Overview, we're doing our Vulcan Migmax 215. We've had this welder since January 10th, 2021. So far we've put 5 11-pound spools of wire through it and about 4 bottles of gas. Who knows, might be more than that. Well, we're actually in the middle of shooting an Abnormal Garage episode, so we're going to go ahead and put a new spool of wire in this thing. We ran out to do that. It's not too bad. On today's episode, we're going to be using an 11-pound spool of Hobart 30 solid MIG wire. Normally we use the Vulcan spools and they do just fine, but Tractor Supply is closer than that feels about right. A little bit more. Alright. But yeah, Tractor Supply is closer than Harbor Freight to us, so this time we're getting Hobart spool. And you just line it up. This is the hardest part. Hold on. This is honestly the hardest part. There we go. Getting it lined up in there. Now, put your wheel back down, flip that up. Get your gun handy, which we really need to clean this tip. It's pretty bad. And hit this switch. Come on. There we go. That's how you change the wire roll on this thing. We need to clean our tip and this tip as well. We've been doing a lot of welding. So back to the tool overview section of our program. This is a Migmax 215. It's an inverter powered welder that you can get at Harbor Freight. We've had it for a good amount of time and we haven't had a single issue with it. The reviews on these things are pretty good too. As you can see, inside the cover it gives you auto settings, manual settings. It's got a material gauge thickness for 120 volt, 100 and 240 volt. I've never ran this welder on 120 volt. I've only ran it on 240, so I can't speak for how it does on 120. It has the option to switch polarity down here. Its duty cycle on 120 is 40% use at 100 amps for 10 continuous minutes. So that's 4 minutes of welding and 6 minutes of resting. On 240, it's 25% use at 200 amps. So 2.5 minutes welding, 7.5 minutes resting. I can just tell you that we've totally ignored that for the last 3 years and never really had any problems with it. So, you know, maybe it's the fact that we usually don't turn it up real high. Who knows? I don't know, but we've had pretty good luck with it. It's a little dirty right now. I haven't cleaned it off in a while. Let's go take a look at the front of the machine. One of the reasons why I chose this unit over the 220, the Pro 220, is because I like the mechanical dials. You know, these are actual dials and switches and so forth. The Pro 220 has screens and buttons, and it's a multi-process welder, so it can MIG, TIG, stick, and do all that stuff. At the time, I just wanted a good MIG welder. With this welder, you can weld stainless steel. You could do flux core if you want. I can't imagine why you would want to. My dad has this exact same welder in his traveling trailer, and he does use flux core, and he was pretty happy with it. It's not really my thing. I think it's messy, but anyway. You can also get a spool gun, which is sold separately to do aluminum. We haven't done that yet. Honestly, we would rather just get a TIG welder and learn how to do it the best possible way to do aluminum. But who knows? We might end up doing that at some point. This is the original clamp. It's been through hell and back. We'll probably replace it at some point, but we haven't had any issues with it. It still has the original gun, other than tips and nozzles. We haven't changed anything in that. I thought I would mention while we're reviewing the front of the machine, it has the ability to set it up in manual mode where you can manually set the power and the wire speed, or you could set it up in automatic, which it actually does a pretty good job in automatic. I don't do it just because I like to mess around with the wire speed a little bit to try to get that perfect weld, or at least what I think is perfect. But anyway, let's move on to the other side. On the back side of the unit, we have our power input and our gas input. And this is where it goes into like your duty cycles and capacities and stuff like that. It comes with a separate cable for 120 volt. Like I said, we've never used it. We've always used it as 220. Oops, sorry, stepped on the dog's foot. For a shielding gas, we're using this 75% argon, 25% carbon dioxide. Every time I go to exchange this bottle, they call it Trimix. I'm really not sure why with those proportions, but anyway. That bottle lasts a pretty good long time, but when it's out, it's out. You can get that bottle from Airgas National Welders. We purchased that bottle. They're pretty pricey, but we purchased it. It still has the original regulator and flow meter. It works pretty well. Can't complain. Well, we're going to go ahead and do a picture slideshow and maybe some welding footage of this thing in action. hope you find this episode of Thursday Tool Overview helpful. Go ahead and give us a like if you like the video. Share it with your friends who might be considering this welder. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. And we'll see you on the next episode of Abby Normal Garage.